Wagwan, everybody. Welcome to the Diaspora History Podcast, where we'll be speaking about history and as well family history and how history relates in terms of Caribbean people for the present as well as in the past, and how in the past what that does and brings forth for what we are going through at present and what we can learn from our history, from our family, and take that moving forward. So I do hope you enjoy the podcast. And if you like it, please ensure to subscribe, like, and review. Thank you.
In this episode of Diaspora History Podcast, host Wendy Aras sits down with Dr. Kumar Mahabir, renowned anthropologist, publisher, and author, to explore his powerful work, East Indians of Belize, Remembering the Past to Secure the Future. Together, they delve into the complex and little-known history of Indo-Belizean communities, examining migration, identity, culture, and the importance of preserving heritage across generations. This conversation shines a light on the stories that shaped a people and the resilience that continues to define them today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mahabir, for coming on to the podcast. And I came across your article, East Indians of Belize, and this is, again, another topic where people do not recognize Belize as being part of the Caribbean as it is in Central America. But there's other history, which we're not going to go into at the moment, as to why Belize is designated as it was, because it was a part of the British Empire. But before we start on the discussion, I'll just have you do a brief introduction of yourself, so the audience can know who you are.
Right. I'm Dr. Kumar Mahabir from Trinidad and Tobago. I have been here all my life. I was born here. I just studied for about 5 or 6 years in the United States, in Florida, University of Florida, and I haven't been anywhere else for a protracted period of time. And I was always fascinated by anthropology, doing research in the field and recording it and writing about it. I was doing anthropology without even before knowing that this is anthropology, until I wanted to study it formally and structurally and academically. And then I went to Florida, University of Florida, where I did my PhD in anthropology. My profession is a teacher.
Yes.
I've been teaching all my life at various levels, except primary school. I've taught high school and community college and university. And I'm still teaching at the University of Guyana now.
Okay.
Though I'm in Trinidad, I teach mainly online. And I'm a writer and researcher and publisher. So that's what I've been doing all my life. But recently, since COVID,
yes,
I used to publish magazines on East Indian history, culture, identity, heritage. And since COVID, that was kind of closed down because of people were not advertising, and we depended solely on funds from advertisers. And so we transitioned into a Zoom program. You can see the background there. Every single Sunday for the past 5 years. And every single Sunday, it's 3 p.m. Atlantic time. I think it'll be 1 p.m. in Belize at that time. And we have a Zoom program, like a webinar. And we have various, the format is a panel discussion.
Yes.
We have speakers from all over the world talking about Indian identity, Indian history, Indian heritage, Indian culture, anything to do with Indians. And by Indians, I mean Asian Indians, whose ancestry is from India. And when I talk about Indians, we are focused on Indians whose grandparents or great-grandparents were indented in Indians.
Yes.
So our interest is not really India Indians as such. Those people who are now in the diaspora, who are mainly engineers and IT people, and those tech kind of people, scientists and so on. we are interested in descendants of Indian indented immigrants. And so we focus on the Caribbean, South
Mm.
Africa, Fiji, Mauritius mainly.
Yes.
And I was interested, I'm still interested in Belize because Belize has a fair number of Indians whose
Exactly.
ancestry can be traced back to Indianship.
Yes. No, no, thank you so much, Dr. Mahabir, for um, providing that description. And I'll make sure as well that that information about that you mentioned about the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center is in the
Yeah,
show notes so people can be able to connect further
right,
if they wanted
right.
to. So again,
And we
that
have
is
the
just
WhatsApp number in the back so
yeah,
people can WhatsApp me and
exactly
ask me to join. The webinar is free of charge, and that can be done. And we
perfect.
have a lovely moderator, Shalima Mohammed, who moderates every time. And she's a co-director as well of this Thought Leaders Forum. And together we plan what is going to be the next program and who are the speakers and what are the topics. So I
Exactly.
must give her
Perfect.
credit.
Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful. And so we'll start. So I know that you kind of touched upon this in your introduction, but would you just briefly be able to summarize, I guess, the inspiration behind writing this piece on East Indian community in Belize?
Right. That piece that I wrote on East Indians in Belize was the outcome or the product of a field research I did in Belize in
Mm,
2011.
okay.
I am the kind of researcher who look for gaps
Mm,
in the historiography
yeah.
or the literature. If there are people who are writing a lot about a topic, I don't go there.
Yes.
That's a beaten track.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look for little gaps, things that have been marginalized, things that have been topics that have been absent, missing.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody has really written on Indians in Belize.
Yes.
So in 2011, on my own, without funding from anybody, I decided to buy a ticket and go to United States. And from there, I went to Belize. I think I had to stop somewhere, LA or something. I don't remember the connection, but it was a connected flight.
Yes.
And I had just a few contacts, but like any researcher, when I arrived there, I was able to meet people, and the thing just networked, ballooned, snowballed into
Yes.
and I spent a few weeks going everywhere, talking with a lot of people within
Mm-hmm.
a limited time. And I didn't have funding, so I had to travel on my own. I got a little support to stay at hotels and so on, motels. So that was the only support I got. And
Yeah.
then, I've documented those people who accommodated me in Belize. I think I have the name here. Let me see. Right. So in Belize, I met Gabriel Pitt,
Mm,
right? Sylvia Gilhari Perez, Lydia Ramcharan Pollard,
mm,
the Ramclam family, Gwen Lawrence of the Seabreeze Hotel, right? He kept
okay.
me for a couple days, complimentary. Kate and Ian Morton of Hickory Cottages, Scott and Daria Mallory of Coral House Inn and the Best Western Hotel. So those were
Mm,
the only support I got in terms of accommodation. The only support I got was accommodation to
yes.
stay in these places, but everything else I paid from my own pocket.
And why do you think that that this is important to document and of course preserve the history of East Indians in the Caribbean, but specifically in Belize?
Right. So as I've said before, nobody has really written on Indians in Belize because Belize is so far away from the diaspora countries in the Caribbean, Trinidad, mainly Trinidad, Guyana, Suriname, and I wanted to do research there, so I decided to go and to fill that gap in the literature, in this historiography.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason. And I never regretted it
Mm-hmm.
because when I went there, I met about 12, the population now is about 12,000 people of Indian ancestry.
Okay.
And I went to villages in South Belize,
Mm-hmm.
Toledo, and places like that, where I felt as if I was in Trinidad in an Indian community. There were Indians all over, right? They were clustered in particular districts.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did, I took a lot of, that time, DVD was popular, Indian movies. So I took a shoebox of Indian movies and I distributed them because what is fascinating about Indians in Belize compared to Indians in Trinidad, Guyana, and Suriname is that they're not Hindus or they're not Muslims.
Okay.
They are Christians, but they have kept Indian culture alive. When we think of Indian culture, we think of it rooted in Hinduism or Islam, right? It's religion based. But that was not the case in Belize. So to me, that was fascinating. Here, these Christian Indians who like Indian wear, like the sari and so on, kurta, and they like Indian food, particularly curry, which is an important form of identity for them.
Yes.
They like the mehendi, that's the decoration on the hand that is done with some kind of pigmentation. They like Indian songs, they like Indian dance, almost every aspect of Indian culture they liked, including the movies. And so that was interesting to me. And so there was a desire on their part to kind of discover and reclaim their identity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was a kind of ambassador, and I did help them to develop that sense of Indian identity. And then we organized a conference in 2014, I think,
Okay.
East Indian Diaspora Conference in Belize.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was able to find help in Trinidad, mainly through one guy who is affiliated to the National Council for Indian Culture, Surjdev Mangaru, and he helped sponsor tutors, mainly in dance, to go to Belize and to teach Belizean dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And since, but the important figure, important person I met there was Sylvia Gilhari Perez. She's a committee leader. Where her focus is on reclaiming and reviving and promoting Indian culture in Belize.
Mm-hmm.
So we made connection, and then since that she came to Trinidad many times, particularly for Diwali, which is the Festival of Lights.
Mm-hmm.
And through her connection and my encouragement and my advice, she has gone to India
Mm-hmm.
and gone to conferences in which she independently and sometimes with me presented papers on Indians in Belize, and we did a documentary film on artifacts in uh, in Belize, East Indian artifacts, because they still retain some of the cooking utensils, the method of cooking, and some dishes, preparation of dishes
Mm-hmm.
in Belize. So we did a documentary film. I think if you Google, you can find it somewhere,
Okay.
and you can probably splice it in somewhere in the podcast. Artifacts of Indians in East Indians in Belize. So since my visit there in 2011, they have come a long way
Mm-hmm.
in terms of reclaiming the past and celebrating it
Yes.
and promoting it to a younger generation. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll definitely again indicate those that link, that documentary that you guys did in the show notes, and try to find a way to kind of put it in here as well. Because as well, the article outlines, three distinct waves of East Indian migration to Belize. Would you be able to walk us through each of those waves and what brought?
Right. So during the 1857 War of Independence, or
Mhm.
the Indian Mutiny, as it is called in India, there was a plan. Actually, it's an error to say that 1,000 soldiers and their families migrated to Belize.
Yeah.
That's factually wrong. There was a plan, but the plan was never implemented to deport these soldiers who had fought against the British, right?
Yes. Yeah.
As a form of punishment. Because if you fought against the government, I mean, to put you in jail for so long, so many of
Yes.
you, 1,000 in this case. So there was a plan to send them as a form of punishment, exile them in Belize, but it didn't come to fruition. So the first wave of Indians to Belize was really from Jamaica.
Hmm.
They were indented immigrants, and after their term had expired, they were contracted, they went to Belize. We don't know the exact numbers,
Hmm.
and but they went. And what's interesting about those Indians who left Jamaica and went to Belize is that they didn't only work in the sugarcane estates, but they work in lumber, which is
Mm.
unlike any migration of Indians, early migrants.
Yeah.
And then they work in lumber and they work in banana
Mm.
cultivation as well. And then some of them went to Guatemala to work in coffee plantations from Belize.
Yeah.
So so that's how they maintain their Indian culture because there is a place called Calcutta Village or something like that, right? And but there are no temples. There are no temples or mosques at the time that I went.
Okay.
There were these Indians, the traders, the Gujarati and so on, but they seem to be insulated. They
Mm.
seem to have as a clan by themselves.
Yeah.
Although the Belizean Indians would like to know more about Indian culture, which they practice because they're from India, these traders didn't care and still don't care.
Mm.
They are family based, they gather together,
Yeah.
as I say, they're insulated. And it's unfortunate they don't care about sharing anything about their culture
Mm.
or even their religion. So they're there and still there, but there is no connection
Mhm.
um, between them, these traders, these Sindhis and Gujaratis and those kinds of groups who are a merchant class. They belong to a
Mhm.
class by
Yes.
themselves. Don't mix with the locals. They probably see them as creolized or bastardized and things like that. They may have a sense of caste as well because
Mhm.
the locals would be more dark skinned. So they treat them differently.
Yes. Yeah. And then that was the first one. Was there, would you be able to go through the second one, the second wave of East Indians coming to
The
Belize?
second wave is that they have those are the people who I don't know. That second wave, as I said, they would have come from Guatemala to
Okay.
who were working in the coffee plantations, right? Yeah. Wave of Indians, that's really the first wave, went to
Okay.
Belize from Jamaica as ex-indented workers. They went to Toledo district, where they
Mm.
were employed on the sugarcane and banana plantations
Yeah.
that were established by American ex-Confederates. So that's interesting. Nowhere
Yeah.
in the Caribbean did Indians work under Americans, but in
Yes.
Belize they did. And then later from Toledo, they moved to Belize and Crozal districts, mainly in the city. But most of the Indians are in south of Belize.
Mm.
And so this is second wave really. migrants to Belize came from Guatemala, originally from Jamaica. So from Jamaica, they went to Guatemala, where they had gone to work on the coffee plantations in Coffee Mountains. And after that, they moved to Belize.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the last
So it's really
wave
two
of
waves, two waves.
there were just the two waves. Okay, perfect. And
Yeah.
then what were you mentioned some of the industries, but what were the main industries and types of work that most of the East Indians engaged in once they arrived in Belize? You said coffee and banana
Uh,
plantation.
no, not coffee in Guatemala.
Okay,
The
okay, sorry.
banana, sugarcane, banana, and lumber
Remember.
industries.
Okay.
Right? So that's unique.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, most researchers, and most Indians in the Caribbean don't go to Belize because it's far away.
Yes. Yeah.
But you can go to Panama and then go. You have to reroute somehow.
Yes.
You can go to, um, you can go to the United States and then go to, you can go to the United States and then you can go to Belize. Um, and then they think, well, it's Central America, and
Yes.
Central America will be Spanish speaking. So
Mm-hmm.
they assume that. They didn't know. I think it's the only English speaking country
Yes.
in Central America. But the distance, I think it's mainly the distance,
Mm-hmm.
and mainly because they're isolated. Um, Even the Belizean Indians don't go to India often, right? Because of the distance too.
Yeah.
They don't have even an Indian embassy there. I think they fall under some other embassy,
Okay.
but in Belize there is not an Indian embassy, I think,
Okay.
at that time.
Okay.
And so it's a wonderful people. I would like more researchers to go,
Mm-hmm.
filmmakers, researchers, activists,
Yeah.
because these people have a desire
Mm-hmm.
to know more about their Indian identity, to reclaim it, to practice it, but they're not tutors really.
Mm-hmm.
They're not tutors, there are no schools. And there's no cultural exchange. From time to time, they come to Trinidad, mainly for Diwali, Festival of Lights. They come for the fashion show. We have a fashion show, a queen show like. So they come, and those are only a few,
Yes.
right? They need to have a tour perhaps to Belize
Mm-hmm.
from Trinidad. So I
Yeah.
don't know. Shalima is busy these days with studies and things, but she's the one who would lead these tours to go. Yeah,
Perfect. So, and I
yeah,
know you mentioned this before. Well, what are some of the key cultural markers like language, food, religion, festivals, like you mentioned, Diwali, that
yeah.
have remained strong within the community over these years?
Right. Interestingly, they have a dance called Huse Mise, which is really an adaptation of a performance in the Huse, the Muharram. So it's just a relic, a relic.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a fragment, but that's the marker
Yeah.
that if they have to do a cultural performance, they would do that dance with swords. It's
Mm-hmm.
set against a military background with sword play. It's war, really. The
Mm-hmm.
background is war, and there'd be sword play and simulated fighting, dueling, and um, and some drumming. Um, I haven't seen any Indian drums there, but that Hussein Mise performance is emblematic of Indian culture among Indians in Belize. And of course, they have the food, which is the
Mm-hmm.
curry
Yes.
that they have.
Yeah.
But they're very enterprising people. A lot of them are into business.
Mm.
And I think the largest bus company there is owned and managed by an Indian. There's an Indian orchestra there called some kind of Coolie Boys. But
Mm.
interestingly, they don't play Indian music. It's and they're called coolies, eh? So
Yes.
they're called coolies, which is a derogatory terms.
Mm-hmm.
And So, it's common to hear someone refer to a person of Indian said, coolie, hey, coolie boy. But in Trinidad, you don't do that.
Yes. Yeah,
It's a derogatory. And
exactly.
what is interesting what I found there, interesting, they have a lot of these Indian folk tales
Mm.
still in the memory of the elders. And I have gathered some of them. I have them on tape. And I have a book, if you can Google this book called, it's a book which I did on folk tales, Caribbean Indian folk tales. And I've documented, transcribed, recorded, documented some of the folk tales in that book. So if anybody is interested in folklore, um, in the in folk tales in particular, Belize is a rich resource. Now they have a kind of connection with the Maya Indians because of the food. And
Oh.
because the Maya Indians tend to phenotypically look like them with the straight hair and the curry, and they buy the Maya Indians make the curry, and the East Indians, buy from them. Yeah,
Mm.
right. And then I have yes, I have here. There's a bus company called James Bus Line, BUSLINE, the largest private bus service in Belize.
Okay.
And that company is owned by an Indian,
Mm-hmm.
right? Although his last name is James. And they are involved in all sectors of the society. They're senators there. They're in government, right? Government. They are historians. They are much in academia. They are teachers. Sylvia was a teacher. I think she retired by now. Lots of teachers. They work in the civil service. They're into agriculture. They're into transportation. They're into law. They're into politics, and they have made good of themselves,
Yes.
and they are prominent. So
Okay.
there is a place in a school in Belize called Calcutta Seventh-day Adventist School. So you see
Mm.
Calcutta.
Yes.
Uh-huh. And some of the names have been corrupted. So like Ramklam, right? That must be Ramchan or something like that. The spelling has been altered.
Okay.
James Ramklam, a wealthy man, right? He had a sugar factory, and they have a thing quoted. But if you look deep into the last names, like Bardales, it's supposed to be Badaloo,
Yeah.
and somebody last name named Pete. Now the
Mm.
L seems to have dropped off because it's supposed to be Patel,
Yes.
right? And there's still Ramcharan, and then the Gilhari, the D is missing. It's supposed to be Gildhari, Gild, it's Gil.
Yes.
Right? So they're all Christianized, but
Mm-hmm.
it's remarkable that they still have this
Yes.
hankering for East Indian culture. What was
Exactly.
amazing to me is that I discovered there was an East Indian museum in Belize, the first of its kind in the Caribbean.
Mm.
Can you imagine that? Not at that time. It was established. What time? 2001. There was no museum even in Trinidad or Guyana or Suriname that has a big Indian population. But a lady by name single-handedly, Lydia Ramcharan Pollard, right? She's the curator and proprietor of the museum in Corozal, and the theme or the title of the museum is Windows to the Past. I
Okay.
visited the museum. I took photos. It's a private museum. Sorry, it was established in 2000. Yeah. The second museum in the Caribbean to be established was in 2006. Huh? And
Mm.
that was the Indian Caribbean Museum in Trinidad, which is still here and which is operating.
Okay.
But this was the
Perfect.
first. This was the first. Yeah.
And so, what challenges, if there are any, that the East Indians have faced in being recognized or included in Belize national narrative?
Well, I think since they have formalized themselves into organizations,
Mm-hmm.
they have registered and have committees and so on. They have they have been able to get some funding. So they have been recognized and they get a little funding um, from the government to carry on their activities. And I think they're establishing a park, East Indian Park, uh, yeah, in Corozal.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
And is there like a growing effort to, through oral history education and community organizations to ensure their story is not forgotten?
Yes, well, they're documenting it in various ways and promoting little booklets. Sylvia has been doing an annual calendar, and
Mm-hmm.
every month she would have something about something Indian, a food or something like that, food item or some aspect of Indian culture every month, and there will be a little caption to read. So it's not just a mere calendar, but something educational as well. And what I've found in Belize is that they have a lot of, in all these cultures that are disappearing, you find that the food is the last relic, the last item to remain. And in Belize, they have kitchen utensils and food, like I've mentioned. They make roti,
Yes.
and they have the pots, which they call on an earthen fireside with a kumal, that's the flat iron, which we call a tawa.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a strange way, that item that you use to belay or flatten the roti, right? Chowki, which we call chowki,
Yeah.
flat, yeah, they have something, but it's a little different. And then they have something called a coolie grater,
Mm-hmm.
which I've seen in Guyana. It's not in Belize, not in Trinidad.
Mm-hmm.
Made with a cutlass, a machete blade attached to a wooden board, and is used to shred dry coconut flesh to make cooking oil. Right? So they have some. I visited kitchens,
Mm-hmm.
and they have some of these kitchen items that are used to prepare Indian dishes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, So I guess for you, what does the future look like for the East Indian community in Belize in terms of, cultural survival and of course public recognition?
Okay, so they have since I visited there, I think I've been able to make a lot of progress because of the network I created. And I looked at Trinidad as an important source of information and support and encouragement and networking. I would really like to see we set up a Indian marriage service digital because they have they like to marry their own, huh? And I think it's called endogamy, is it?
Mm-hmm.
And if culturally and otherwise, you like to marry your own because you're more comfortable. You don't have to learn about other people's culture. So you they have been marrying within the group so much that technically they're all related.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
they express the same thing in St. Vincent, same thing in Grenada with these small Indian populations. They are looking for Indian marriage partners. They can't marry within the community because they'll be marrying a cousin, right? So if there is uh, a Caribbean marriage service, I think it will be very useful because they are looking for marriage partners. And then most of them don't travel to Trinidad or Guyana or Suriname. So there's a need for that. They want to marry people of their own culture.
Yeah. Perfect. And then, Dr. Mahabir, what would you like to, leave as a message to the listeners that who may be part of the East Indian diaspora or who are interested in, of course, the diverse histories of the Caribbean?
I want to encourage people in the Indian diaspora to visit Belize. Belize is English-speaking country in Central America, near to Guatemala. And you can go to Guatemala and Mexico and thing and do sightsee and go for tourist reason. And so you can kill two birds with one stone. Go visiting, sightseeing, and go to Guatemala. And these people would welcome you. They would welcome you. They are so warm and hospitable. And they appreciate you highly, highly when you visit. And just visit them and share part of your Indian culture. They're highly appreciative. And they want to form networks. And I would like people to go and do film, documentary film, write articles, write books, maybe do a thesis like you were doing, make podcasts. And in our Zoom program, we have featured, I think, more than once Indians in Belize. So if you go to our link, YouTube link, Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center, you would see that we did webinars on them and had various speakers.
Perfect. No, thank you so much for Dr. Mahabir for coming on and speaking about this because as you said, this is not well known where people are speaking or discussing about East Indians in Belize. So thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Hoped you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please make sure to like, follow, subscribe, and write a review for the episode wherever you listen to your podcast. Thank you.